Hi folks, I just stopped with my car. I'm here in a parking lot in southern France. It's super hot outside, so I'm really sweating and I'm suffering doing this video, but I had to do it because one of my readers spotted the first Canon R1 spec sheet. He found it on Canon China website. It was up for a couple of minutes. He was able to take the screenshots and now it's offline. So take it with a grain of salt because we don't know if that was the final page, first of all. And the second grain of salt thing is that I used the Google image translation tool to translate those specs. I don't speak Chinese, so I hope that the spec translation was right. Should be, but just those two small warnings ahead of the spec list. So let's go straight to the Canon R1 spec list. The camera uses a 24 megapixel sensor. It uses a DJIC accelerator in combination with a DJIC X processor engine. ISO goes from 100 to 102,400. Full dual core pixel autofocus, 12 frames per second in mechanical shutter mode and 40 frames per second in electronic shutter mode. It records video with 6K RAW 60p, 4K DCI 120p, 2K DCI 240p. It has inbuilt stabilization. Battery autonomy is good for 700 shots. It has VLAN and Bluetooth, 2 CF Express type base slots. Size is 157 by 149 by 87 millimeter. So those were the few specs listed on the page. There was nothing else and also no other images. And if true, that confirms that this is definitely a camera made for professional sports photographers, so it doesn't go high resolution like, for example, the Sony A1. And I made a quick comparison with the Sony A9 III, which is probably the more direct competitor. The Sony A9 III can do 120 frames per second in electronic shutter mode, but it has two downsides. First of all, there's no mechanical shutter, and in some situation that could be a problem. Sometimes there are artifacts with electronic shutter you can get rid with mechanical shutter. The second downside is definitely the ISO performance, because the Sony A9 III with global shutter brings some very unique benefits, but the trade-off is not so great high ISO performance and not the best dynamic range. The Canon R1 will go into another direction, not having global shutter, giving you the possibility to crank the ISO up to 1 or 2000, and that's maybe a deal breaker for some sports photographers. I mean deal breaker in a positive sense, that it means they need it, and the Sony A9 III cannot really deliver it. Comparing the Canon R1 with the Sony A1 makes little sense because the Sony A1 is a high-speed camera with high-resolution sensor, 50 megapixel. It shoots 30 frames per second, so slower than 40 frames per second, but at full resolution of 50 megapixel. Again here, the key is the ISO performance. On the A1 goes up to 32,000, so the Canon really nails it when it comes to the image quality and high ISO performance. So that seems to be their goal. But really, in a couple of hours, Canon will officially announce the R1, so on July the 17th, so we don't have to wait more, and we will see then the first real test, the first real size full-size images, and then we can evaluate better what Canon has done with this camera. I'm sure it's going to be a very solid useful camera for Canon sports photographers that already have a Canon camera, and they can definitely rely on this model to do their job. But it's not like a jack-of-all-trades camera like, for example, a Nikon Z9 or the Sony A1. It's really a sports photographer's camera like the Sony A9 III. So just to end up this video, the Sony A1 II is not coming anytime soon. Not that you think that Canon R1 will push the Sony to release the A1 II. This camera is probably only coming 2025. Moreover, it just got a big publicity because it took that famous bullet shot from Donald Trump. That was a Sony A1 camera, so I saw a joke somewhere in the comments saying, make the Sony A1 camera great again. What's important, for finally we know what the Canon R1 is likely going to be. Great camera, not a groundbreaking model. I'm very curious to see how the Sony A1 II will be in 2025. I think there's a more chance to see some more advanced tech. But nice work from Canon. And now like this video and subscribe to the channel, because soon there will be new Sony rumors, because Sony finally plans to announce their first high-end stuff of the year, because we know that we only got 2 G lenses and 1 ZV camera the first 7 months of the year. Definitely needed for the mass market, but nothing for us tech freaks that want to see, you know, get excited about new tech. So definitely like again and subscribe, because soon you will hear more about Sony. See you soon, folks.